Now that Russ is going to be out of town in Denver, there is the one landing spot that is perfect for him, perfect for this team. Win-win, if you will. It's the Seattle Seahawks. The Seattle Seahawks are the perfect landing spot for Russell Wilson. It makes sense from both sides. Russ going back home and also the Seahawks taking in Russ, it's a total win-win. I don't see how you can point to a better team for Russ to go to and have more success. I also don't know how if you're the Seahawks, you find right now a better quarterback option for 2024. Let me break it down. I got a few reasons why it makes sense, because you may just be saying, right, back to Seattle, that would never happen. Here's why it should happen. And here's why I think it makes sense for it to happen. Number one, Russell Wilson is cheap. He is getting paid $39 million from the Denver Broncos. So right now, you don't have to reset the quarterback market. You could pay Russ $3 million. It doesn't matter. He's getting $39 from the Broncos. I think if you're Russ, he's smart enough to realize, I got to go to the right situation, not a team that offers me the most money. So because you got basically $40 million in the bag already from your old team, your contract here for 2024 is not a big priority. So you could sign, if you're Seattle, Russell Wilson on a cheap backup type deal and still save a lot of money here to add to your roster. You just restructured Geno Smith's contract to open up more cap space. You signing Russell Wilson is not going to ruin that. That's number one. You can get Russ cheap. Number two is you got a new regime. New regime in Seattle, which means a fresh start for Russ. Pete Carroll is gone. So his biggest adversary, the guy he butted heads with the most, is no longer the decision maker, no longer in charge. So if you're Russ, you could go back home and realize, I got a new lease on life. I don't have to worry about Pete Carroll putting handcuffs on me and not allowing the offense the way I want it to be run. Mike McDonald now, youngest head coach in all the NFL, is now at the controls. Ryan Grubb, former Washington Huskies offensive coordinator, now is a guy calling plays. You're now going to a spot with youth and inexperience at the coaching position where I think they would welcome a veteran quarterback like Russ to the fray. So you're cheap. New regime right now is in charge in Seattle. Reason number three makes sense is he's a perfect fit. Going back to what I just said about Ryan Grubb. He is now the new OC for the Hawks. He came from Washington University, UW. Look at that offense under Michael Penix Jr. last year. How did Washington operate? In case you didn't watch much college football, I'll tell you. They were a bomb it down the field and push the ball vertically. What does Russell Wilson want to do? Bomb the ball down the field and push it vertically. I think they'll incorporate the run game more with the Seahawks than they did with the Huskies. But that fits perfectly what Russ wants to do and where he's had his most success. Run the ball, and then off play action, throw it deep to DK. Throw it deep to Jackson Smith and Jigba. Throw it deep. Still got a little juice left. Tyler Lockett. That offensive philosophy of pushing the ball vertically down the field a ton it fits Russ exactly what he wants perfectly. That's what he's been known for, right? That moon ball or that moonshot deep ball that he loves to throw. That is what Ryan Grubb wants to do offensively, and that is what Russell Wilson does perfectly. So you look at right now, what's in place, whether it's the contract, whether it's the new regime, whether it's the offense too, the pieces around Russ that are better than the last time he was in Seattle. I don't know why you wouldn't do it if you're the Seahawks. And not to mention, you really in on Geno Smith? Russell Wilson is an upgrade over Geno. I think for me, Geno is more of a Pete Carroll guy. I don't think Geno fits what Mike McDonald wants to do. Part of the reason why I think that is the book is out on Geno. The league has figured him out. Look at his stats from last year to 2 years ago. 2022, when he took the league by storm, got the Seahawks to the playoffs, won comeback play of the year, threw 30 touchdowns. This past year, threw 20. His passer rating dropped almost 10 points from 100 to 92. Passing yards, 4,200 passing yards in 2022, 3,600 passing yards in 2023. All of his stats went down. Now that the league had a full year, a full off season to see what he wants to do, how he works, and how you can stop him. By the way, look at Geno's stats from this past season. 20 touchdowns, 92 passer rating, 3,600 passing yards. Russell Wilson surpassed all those numbers. Russell Wilson was better. He was the better quarterback. So you can laugh at Russ, clown Russ, even in a down year or a year that wasn't that impressive in 2023, it was still better than what Geno did. So if you're the Seahawks, why wouldn't you make this move? Why wouldn't you bring Russell Wilson to town and bring a better quarterback in to at least compete with Geno Smith? It makes no sense why you wouldn't do so. You have an offense that's built to win right now. You told Pete Carroll your services are no longer wanted here. You're moving in a youth direction. I think Geno's around mostly because of Pete Carroll. So now that Pete's not the decision maker, and he was Russell Wilson's biggest adversary, why wouldn't you bring Russ back? Why wouldn't you bring him back home and try to lead this team to the playoffs? I think he gives you a better chance than Geno Smith does. And I'm not even sold right now that the Seahawks are even all in on Geno. I want to read you one thing really fast here. And that is a report from Adam Schefter. The other day, the Seahawks allowed Geno Smith's contract to fully guarantee. There's like a certain date where either you cut Geno Smith or if he's on the roster, his salary is fully guaranteed. They let that date pass, still on the roster. It was $12.7 million, fully guaranteed. Here is what Adam Schefter tweeted with regard to that news of Geno Smith's salary guaranteeing for 2024. He said, quote, "The Seahawks believed that in today's market, with salaries soaring for starting quarterbacks, the right decision was to pay the money per sources. Now Geno Smith will represent a value to them or any other team that decides to reach out to see if they can acquire Smith via trade." There's Adam Schefter right there. And where did the information come from? Is Adam Schefter an opinion giver? Is he someone that reaches out of thin air and just pull things out of his ass to say? Or does he report on what he's told? I'm going to go with the latter. He reports on what he's told. If Adam Schefter is tweeting that now Smith is of value either to the Seahawks at a cheap quarterback contract or to another team because he's only $13 million on the salary cap, so if they want to trade for him, they're trading for a cheap option at quarterback. Who is telling Adam Schefter that information? The Seahawks. That right there should tell you they're not even all in on Geno. They're looking for a replacement and or an upgrade. You got it with the guy you jettisoned 2 years ago. Bring Russ home. He's the perfect fit for this offense. I think he'll be welcome back. You got great playmakers around him. He fits the offense of what you're trying to run now with Ryan Grubb. It is perfect. He is cheap. It makes all the sense in the world. Russell Wilson, the perfect landing spot for him in 2024 is back home. The Seattle Seahawks.